I'm having a reunion with everyone. I'm just so happy to be here, genuinely feeling that way. Straight Line Thinkers podcast. Who is that by? Who is the host and speaker on the Straight Line Thinkers podcast?
Further south.
Yeah, Rich Tholle. I hope you all knew that right off the bat. I'm not going to ask you to tell me if you are subscribed, but I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, are you subscribed to the Straight Line Thinkers podcast? I haven't checked today, so this is maybe not up to the minute information, but the last time that I looked into new subscription, it was 3 months free. So ask yourself if you're subscribed. And if you're not, I'm going to ask you why not. I'm going to ask you why not. This is the guy who he was one of the co-founders. There was a few of them, but he was one of the guys who formed the basis of the format system by which we build our business, right? He had some incredible mentors, some incredible teammates. He would tell you himself, or he will if you listen to the podcast, about how much development went on for him to become who he is and what he's able to now contribute to all of us. And yeah, it's only a couple dollars a month, even when you're past the free subscription period. Exactly. But if we wanted to become, let me ask you this, if we all wanted to become the absolute best hockey player, and whether it was, I don't know, I mean, who's current? We got the Wayne Gretzky's of the world, we got the McDavids. If any one of the greats was putting on a free or even extremely low cost access video or audio or in person, who of you, if you were serious about becoming the greatest hockey player or at least improving your skills, would you take for granted or give up on the opportunity to learn from the best, especially when they were sincerely looking to deliver the very best of what they knew how to do? I hope you take that super, super seriously. So that's my plug. I have to admit, for me, it was one of those, I'm going to get to it. I have so many things that I already decided to do and books I'm going to read I haven't done. So I subscribed and then wasn't exactly listening on a regular basis. We adopted it as a team. So we have something called 212 Club, which is basically the idea that water boils at 212 degrees. And when you can boil water, you can create steam. And when you can create steam, you have incredible power in your hands. So we run something called 212 Club. And during that, which is just a morning audio sharing thing, mostly what we listen to is Rich Tholle. And it's been, Ben, perfect point. Number one podcast by far. If someone's a WG, absolutely. By the way, I've been around a long, long time. If everything I've said so far doesn't convince you, hopefully this will. I've been around a long, long, long time. And I've had a chance to learn from some incredible people. And I'm not the greatest success story. I'm not at the top of the Leaders Bulletin. None of you have seen me speak at convention. And I know that because I haven't spoken at convention. I'm so sorry, but someone's doing construction. And I just have to remind them that there's a class going on. So if you guys can just give me 1 second, I'll be right back.
Just get a code number. They don't need to be so new that like they got started yesterday. But they don't really know what's going on yet. Right? There's a lot to learn here, would you agree? Yeah, there's lots to learn.
Okay, it was my dad. He's finishing the T-bar ceiling at our office. He's the cutest construction worker ever. But literally, all I can hear is the banging and clanging. So that's fixed. All right. My point is I've been around a long time and well-intentioned, and I can work hard, and I've developed some skills. But the Rich Tholle podcast has been an absolute game changer for me. And not just the content of what he's saying, but the consistency by which I'm listening to it and how it's actually changing my behavior, the way I talk, and the things I am remembering to be as I go throughout my day. So there you go. That's my pitch. That's my sell. Please give yourself the favor of participating in that. And what we're going to cover today is ripped straight from his headlines. So it's one of his classes that he's done. It's called the 5 C's. He goes through this class. I almost should just play it for you because who's going to do a better job than him? But what we're going to do is flesh it out a little bit this morning. He takes about 20 minutes or so to cover this content. We're going to spend a little bit longer, and then we're going to actually dig a little deeper in some tactics for what these C's should result in. So depending on how much time we have, I'm really hoping that you guys will give me some input and some interaction. I want to hear from you in the chat. At times, we might even ask you to unmute. I'd like to make this as interactive and engaging as possible. Okay, so what are these 5 C's about? Thali talks about these as being absolutely the foundation of leadership, the foundation of leadership. So these 5 C's, they're connected to so many more things than just leadership. But if we want to be leaders, then these 5 things need to exist. And what does it mean to be a leader? Like, ultimately, it's not just a title. It's not a role we give ourselves. Here's how we know if we're a leader. You look behind you and see if anyone's following. Right now, sometimes let's not forget the fact that it takes time for things to compound. You can start to take on these behaviors, and it will take some time for the results to come, for there to be people who are following you. But following isn't just that they're copying you or that they do everything that you say. Or, you know what an example of following is? Has anybody helped, and maybe some of you aren't licensed yet or you're brand new, but has anyone helped somebody out in the field, out in the marketplace, a consumer, start a tax-free savings account and save $100 a month? Has anyone done that or more? Right? That's leadership, right? You led somebody. If they weren't doing it already, you led somebody to start a behavior that's going to be in their best interest, right? So I just don't want anyone to look at this and think, well, and how they're measuring it, that it has to result immediately in, you know, being the premier marquee leader. If that's your goal, this foundation is going to serve that. But if your goal is to impact people, to be a better wife, husband, father, worker, citizen of the world, friend, then these also apply in how you'll have leadership in those areas. Sound good? Okay, so basically we're going to follow Rich Thali's script for the day. We're going to follow, I'm going to basically be covering with you some of my notes and thoughts, and I'm going to be looking for some feedback. So the first C number 1. And if you know anything about Rich Thali, I know a bunch of you have already listened to this. So if I asked for some, you'd be able to, you know, you'd be able to come up with it, or you'd probably even come up with it you know, based on some common sense and some knowledge. But if you haven't listened to it and you know anything about Rich Thali, it's not going to surprise you that the first C begins with character, actual character. Is this in like excess supply in the world today? Would you guys say? Not so much. Now, I don't want to be negative. I think there are oodles and oodles of people. There are massive amounts of people that have incredible character. In fact, I think it's extraordinarily impressive that that exists in spite of some of the narratives out there. Because I think, I'm so sorry, just 1 second. I've got to just remind him that that's still making.
Why do you think little tangible things for racing? Why just little stuff? Yeah, let me give you a visual. If a race car is doing 250 miles an hour down the straightaway, and then a 90-degree turn comes up, what does the car need to do? The car needs to slow down.
This class is brought to you by the 6th C today, construction. He's like, okay, now I'm done. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Where was I? We were talking about character. Okay, so hey, there is a ton of people out there with extraordinary character, people helping people, people honest, returning wallets that they found, you know, just when no one would see or no one would know, and they're acting in accordance with sound principle. That exists so much out there. But is that kind of what's encouraged in the media? Is that kind of what the theme of society is in general? Is like, you know, it's often not. So hey, this is something we have to take responsibility for. And why is character so important, and why does it matter? Well, what relationships can exist, or how can a relationship exist if it's not built on a foundation of trust? Can it exist? Everything begins with trust. And can we truly be trusted, truly be trustworthy, or trust others if we're not coming from a place of solid character? So this is things like honesty. It's integrity. It's all of the big fundamental components. But you know what else it is? You know what else character is? It's kindness, right? It's patience. And by the way, full disclosure, this is one I've had to work on, and I have to work on. I was talking about how listening to Rich Tholley is changing my behavior every day. He's reminding me, and it's not just the words he says, it's how he speaks, it's his humor, it's the attitude he brings. He's reminding me every day to be more patient, seriously. And patience in little things, patience in traffic, patience with the people in front of me in line. If I'm trying to be a leader and I'm trying to genuinely influence people in a positive way, and yet I constantly struggling or have this niggling or have this little thing of, well, no, I know nobody I know is around, and I'm kind of I'm grumping at people when I'm in line. How is that hurting my business in ways that I might not even be aware of? Right? How is that hurting the energy that I have for the next conversation I'm going to go into? How is that hurting my ability to prospect the person that I was? By the way, I'm not going around swearing at people in line, but I it's not the best energy or state to be in. So character is in little things as well as the great big things. Here's another area of character. It's our ability to have some grit and be formidable and have some fortitude, some strength through the grind. And let me explain what I mean by that. When you are working with WFG, you wear a lot of hats, right? You're going to be a financial professional. You're going to be dealing with people. You're going to be sometimes dealing with office logistics, right? There's just so many. You're going to have to. Hey, when we used to do appointments how about this? We used to do appointments at people's homes all the time. Like I know it's less now with the times, but when we did that all the time, sorry, I just read the note. You had to also be a navigator. Like I remember when I was working in Edmonton and I wasn't that familiar with the city, and I had to find people's homes and GPS is, sorry, just one second.
Constantly they're searching for it. It might be unconscious. They might not realize it's even.
Okay, hopefully that's the last interruption. Look at how patient I'm being. And you guys are all being so patient too. Anyway, so lots of hats to wear, including sometimes navigation. And little things like that could impact somebody and kind of wear thin if you're like struggling to find a house, or you're trying to meet somebody and you're running late and something goes wrong in traffic. These are moments when our character is exposed. Now, I don't remember, sorry, there was a bunch of interruptions that went on. So I don't remember if I covered this at the beginning as I intended. One of the things I wanted to mention as we went into the 5 C's and we kind of dove in and put our hands on them. Nowhere in this is the P word, perfection. Okay, what we're not asking of you here is to be perfect or that your leadership is going to be perfect. But what I am saying, so sometimes that stuff does get to us and we have a moment and, it's not our proudest, it's not our best example of ourselves. But the more that we can conquer these things, the more maturity that we can bring, the more awareness that we have, then the better our lives get, the better our businesses become, the more results we can get. Another thing that Rich Tholley talks about is wise versus foolish, wise behaviors, like having patience in those tricky moments, pay better, right? He talks wise ways of behaving make you more money, foolish ways cost you money, and they also cost you happiness and peace. So that's where I wanted to go a little bit with that. Another aspect of character is, despite how we might be feeling, our own kind of taking things personally or hurt feelings, can we continue to step up and be willing to encourage others? If we have a teammate who snaps at us a little bit, or we heard that they said something about us to somebody else, that's never happened, right? Sometimes the people you help the most are the ones that are most critical of you. Can our character help us overcome that so that we don't sink to petty things or to small things, but we rise above, we're bigger, and we're looking for, that doesn't mean that we need to accept being treated poorly over time, but can we address things in a constructive fashion with everyone's best interest at heart? That's all part of character, and it ain't easy, and it's a muscle that we can grow, and it's a muscle that we need to maintain and stay and keep strong. By the way, the heart of our happiness is ultimately what we get to do for others. So as we conquer these things in ourselves and we gain that strength, again, the more we grow our character, the more happy that we can be. We get to become, and sharing points and notes directly from what some of the things Thali said is that the fact that we get to actually become better human beings. So what does he say? If we want someone to follow us, the idea that character matters and that character is going to lead us to a better life, they want that feeling from you. The people that would follow us want to feel like if they mimic or pattern themselves or are influenced by you, that they can have that too. The feeling that they can have a better life too. They can be happier. They can have a bigger existence. They can have more confidence, all of that. And character is not just about likability. We are blessed to have one of the most likable leaders in all of WFG in Greg Cernak. And by the way, many of you have other leaders that you might have even thought of when I said that. And that's I mean, it's a bounty blessing of amazing people that are on this team. But going kind of all the way to the top of Team Dynasty, Greg Cernak is one of the most likable leaders in WFG. Would you guys agree with that? Like, you go to big events and you happen to mention you're on Greg's team, and anyone who, you know, has gotten to associate with him are like, oh my goodness, Greg Cernak. And you're like, yeah, I know him. Like, right? It's cool. But you know how much that value would diminish if he wasn't also such a man of character, right? The fact that we can trust him. He's trustworthy. You know, when he makes decisions, again, he's not a perfect man. Sometimes we feel like he is. But when he makes decisions, he's doing that with integrity. You can trust him. He's not going to, you know, smile at your face and make you feel like you're his best friend and then be taking something out of your wallet. And he doesn't act that way in business. And I can attest to having seen him act so integrally in so many moments. And again, we're not talking about perfection, but we're talking about someone you can trust. Okay, we're going to move on to number 2. The number 2C. Commitment. Commitment. Or are any of you kind of guessing at what some of these will be? Again, some of you have heard that podcast and maybe you're remembering them as we go through. Number 2 is commitment. Committed to what? By the way, here's the first question I want you to ask yourself, and maybe we can get a little bit interactive here. Or you can make notes on your page assessing this. Can you go all in? Can you actually sell out? Plant your flag? Can we fully commit? And the reality is people need to feel that from us. And they feel it from us not just because we say we're committed. I'm all in. I believe at WFG. I love what we do. They feel it from us in what we do, right? We show up at training. We teach the system and we follow the system. And they see that level of commitment. They see that, you know, we're the first ones to get registered for big events. They see that, you know, we're early at the office, or we're arranging our schedule around the priorities that we've asked them to make a priority in WFG, as opposed to, okay, you guys go do that. I'm going to be over here. But they also need to feel it in the way that we talk and in what we espouse. In other words, what we are what's the word I'm looking for? Our topics of conversation. Do they feel it from us across the kitchen table? When Thali goes through this, he ties this very closely with the next C. So I'm going to bring that one up now, and I'll share a story that he gives. He talks about at number 3, C, is conviction, and how intertwined commitment and conviction are. Conviction is about certainty. It's not dogma. It's not I'm right and everything I think is right, but it's about knowing what you know and having certainty. It doesn't mean that it can't be discussed and refined, and we can even have, when we learn new information, we might adjust our thinking on something. But we have certainty about the things that we've tested. And by the way, we earn this. We earn this by putting the work in to investigate, to understand, to do some critical thinking, to show up to training and learn and test what we've learned. Does this make sense? And by the way, being coachable means that we've built a trust relationship with someone where we act at the speed of instruction, but can we back that up and follow that up with reasoned thought, so that we're not just blindly following, but we actually have built ownership of those concepts ourselves. So here's the example that Thali gives. He talks about and he comes from a very religious background, right? A very, you know, a man of faith. And when you have faith and belief like that, you would often share it, right? People that, you know, have a belief in a higher power often want to share that. So this is a very normal component of that. But he talks about how if somebody was going door to door to invite people to their church. Maybe there's a couple, of young people and they're going around and they meet some people and they talk a little bit about the kind of faith they have. And, we have church on Sunday and here's where it is. And do you want to come? And there's a nice connection made. So the family at home is like, that sounds great. We actually were new to the area. We were looking for a place to attend church. We'll see you on Sunday. And the couple goes, oh, we're not going to be there. Oh, are you traveling or, what's up? Why aren't you going to be there? Oh, no. We don't really believe in it. We don't really go. We just get paid $20 for everyone we can convince to show up. Right. This is the example that Thali gives. How many people now is there any commitment, any conviction, any true belief in what they're inviting them to attend? Obviously not. So how many people would be likely to follow that invitation to be a part of that congregation, to be a part of that faith? So obviously, as an example, clearly, are we demonstrating our commitment and our conviction in a way that people can feel? Are we practicing what we preach? Now, it doesn't mean that everything that we offer to people, because we custom build plans, is something that's appropriate for us. Maybe, we're not going to set up an RSP for a new home buyers plan for ourselves if we already own a home, right? So there's obviously strategies and stuff that are specific to the clients. But in general, the principles that we're taking to people and sharing with people, are we practicing them? If we're talking to our team, I talked about this already, but if we're talking to our team about attending training, are we attending training? Now, some of the training, I promise you, I've been to 50 million times, but I can't promise you 50 million, but probably at least 50. But does that mean that I won't get that value out of my example? And not to mention the things I need to be reminded, the new things that I'll learn on how to teach it, or just the association of being a part of the system that gives me, that refreshes and reaffirms my commitment and conviction. A couple notes here that I want to share. This is, and I think I said this already, but it's not dogma. It's not being intractable and, where we're not approachable on the things that we think and believe, but just having that calm, assertive certainty. It also means that we're not ridiculing other people who might not see things the same way. We're not belittling them. We're just sure. In fact, when our belief is so high in something, we actually become less combative typically. And this isn't universal, but in most cases, when we have the highest certainty, we're so comfortable in the truth of what we believe in, we're less aggressive, less combative, and we're just more sure. And then it becomes, if I kind of alluded to this with the faith idea, the more we believe in something, we know it's good, then the more calm and careful and welcoming we are in sharing that, because we want other people to see it that way too. We're not trying to hit them head on where they're going to put up their defenses. What we're trying to do, it's about service, right? We want to actually help them understand what we do so that it can benefit them as well. All right. This is where we're going to get a little more interact for real. 3 areas that we're going to need to have some conviction about. This isn't in the podcast. This is something I think came from Thali through, I think I originally heard it from Reality Show, but I'm pretty sure he got it from Thali as well. 3 areas. If we're trying to get granular and specific and you're looking at yourself, okay, what ways can I improve my conviction? These are the areas that within your work at WFG, you need to be a 10 out of 10 at. Now, it takes time. This isn't something that you have to flip a switch. In fact, it wouldn't be real if it was just a switch that you flipped. You have to build your conviction in these areas. Can anyone give me, and I haven't given you much context, so don't worry if it's not exactly what we're looking for here, but can anyone give me what one of those areas might be that you need to build conviction in your career at WFG? Belief, certainty. No, in the chat, what do we got here? Oh, this is awesome. Great stuff. Okay, all awesome. Those were great. The 4 of you, Angie, Jovan, Amanda, Chris, Crusade, awesome. Okay, so let's consolidate those into these 3 things. The first one is the company. And I don't mean, I believe that there is a brick building somewhere down in Georgia that our home office, and there's one in Toronto, and but the fact that this company, and as far as it actually being a legal entity, that it exists, that it's real, that it is respectable, reputable, that it is headed by people, again, there's no perfection, but headed by people that are sincere in their efforts. Our leaders in the field as an extension of that, we believe in. And when I say believe, I'm talking about that you have enough conviction, understanding of it's real and it's good and it's, yeah, it's not a, right? Exactly. That it's legitimate, that you can proudly be a face representing it, and that you know it's going to be there tomorrow and next year, that you could plant your flag, that you can actually hang your license at WFG and know that this is a really good thing. And that when there is problems and concerns that come up, that you're in you're working within an organization that's going to address those. And that when they do extra compliance things and they have to apply what the regulators do, and we're sometimes a little annoyed about it, that, hey, this is for the best, that there's no perfection, and we might even get frustrated legitimately, but that we have a sense of conviction that we can belong here to something real and something that we can count on, right? As a tangible thing. Now, if you're brand new and you're like, well, I've heard some things on the internet, that's okay. But it's okay if you even have some doubts about, well, is this true or not? But what's not okay is not getting that answered so that you can have a conviction that's yours, that you know the reality of it. Okay. The second thing is in what we do. And some of you mentioned that beautifully. And then there were some components that are connected to all of them in what was put in the chat. But I like the way that Joseph Rivera put it, the crusade. What do we actually do? Do we believe in it? Should people save money? Should they have insurance? You might have some slight variances as an advisor that you'll develop in how you might apply some of these principles versus well, I actually like this. I actually like this company's UL a little bit better than this one's. And here's how. That's all beautiful and nuanced and perfect. But do you actually believe in what we do? Do you think it's worthy of putting yourself out there? You think it's worthy of not just to earn $1, right? Not just to go door to door to make $20 to send someone to church, but actually that what we do, the crusade, is going to make a real difference and potentially even save people's lives, right? Save them financially, and you can save the whole picture in so many ways, so many cases. Let me just check my notes to make sure I covered that. Yeah. Do you think people should save a pile of money? Absolutely. All right. And then I think Angie or Jovan, yeah, you guys, man, you hit them. Jovan, you got number 3. The last one that we have to create conviction and belief in is ourselves. By the way, the first 2 are pretty easy to do. You can get answers to those questions pretty rapidly. Again, with some maturity and understanding that nothing's perfect, you can answer that this is a pretty flippin' awesome place with pretty amazing people. And what we do is unbelievable. And we're the best at it en masse. Number 3 one is a little bit trickier, right? A little bit harder. How do we build belief in ourselves? Some of you came to this company with very, very high identities and high levels of belief, and that is awesome. Some of us didn't. I was one of those people. I wanted so much for myself. I wanted to believe so much in myself, but I just didn't even know where to start. And I just kind of hoped I'd stumble into it somehow, that I would be rescued and someone could invest in me or input into me what I would need. And what I learned is that it had to be earned. It had to be built. And if you've come from some tougher circumstances where it's, not your fault that you didn't have that already, that's okay. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? If somebody else made a mess in your life or made a mess in your head or made a mess with you somehow, unless you want to keep that mess, unless you want to own that mess, you got to clean it up. So how do we do that? This isn't a deep dive on a personal growth class, but I do want to touch on it a little bit. Part of how you do that is the people you associate with and the fact that you showed up on Saturday morning, right? To help build that belief in yourself. We're going to actually come back to it a little bit in connection with a C that comes at the very end called confidence. So we will talk about this more, but those are the 3 areas we wanted to cover as far as where our conviction needs to be. And ultimately, we need to take responsibility for our understanding of each of those 3 and our level of conviction. Personally, we can borrow someone else's temporarily, but ultimately we need to build that in ourselves for ourselves. And the answer to the questions that you might ask in each of those is actually a decision. It's got to be based on facts and mature understanding, but it's a decision. Let's not be weak. Like one of my favorite analogies around this in terms of our convictions, even if you come upon somebody that might say something negative about WFG, maybe this visual will help you like it's helped me. Are you an oak fortified carved throne, or are you a rickety, rusty, frame folding lawn chair? Which one are you? Now, the oak one takes time, right? It's got to grow, it's got to be built, it's got to be fortified. So it's okay if you're not starting there, but it's not okay if you don't get there eventually. In other words, if you stay kind of filled with doubts and you feel strongly and you got an idea, and then as soon as somebody says something, you feel shattered and you're taken aback. And it's like, sometimes we have a reaction, an emotional reaction. That's okay too. But how quickly can you go, no, that's not true. That's not what we're about. We don't just, whatever is said out there. I don't want to get into it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You want to look at it like this is settled case law. And so if you couldn't score yourself a 10 out of 10 in each of those areas, one of the things I'd like you to do is ask yourself, what can you do? What can you actively do to, sorry, I just lost my place. What can you actively do to improve that? In other words, if you were an 8 out of 10, what can you do? What responsibility can you take to increase that score for yourself, that level of conviction? And it's like lots of things. Are you a motivated person? Well, who is it? John Maxwell says motivation doesn't last, and neither does bathing. That's why we do it daily. So sometimes conviction, it should last and it should be settled, but we've got to reinforce it. We've got to have the behaviors that are going to keep us certain and add affirmed and add to that. All right. Number four is connection. So let's do a recap. I think somebody just did it in the chat, which is awesome. Let's go back through it. And you know what? I'd like someone to unmute themselves and give me one. Maybe you could, if you've got your camera on, raise your hand so I can select you. What's number one? Let's restate them. I'm gonna pick on somebody. Oh, there we go, Amanda. Thank you.
Okay, there. First C was character.
Perfect. And if you don't mind, why don't you give us number two as well?
Commitment.
There you go. Character and commitment. Thank you, Amanda. All right, who's got the next two? I just gave you the fourth one. What's the third and fourth one? France, please. Oops. I'm sorry, France. I accidentally muted you. I was trying to unmute you.
That's okay. Conviction is the third, and the fourth is connection.
Perfect. Character, commitment, conviction, and connection. All right. Why does Thali talk about connection as the fourth C in leadership? Can you lead somebody who you have no connection to? I guess in some ways you can, but can you lead them if they have no connection to you? I don't think Mr. Thali has any connection to me. He doesn't, I mean, he's seen my face. We've had some conversations, but I don't know if he'd remember me. He's pretty amazing though. But am I connected to him? Yeah, he, in other words, I get to plug into him. I get to feel connected to him. I get to know him because of what he shared. So sometimes it might be one-sided, but if we're going to personally lead people at the grassroots level within teams, can it really exist like that? Let's talk about the ways we connect in communication. I'm going to list out a bunch, and I'd like you to put them in kind of the order of how personal the connection is. All right, I'm just going to list out a bunch, and here we go. Zoom training, voice messages, group text, email, personal text, personal phone call, poster that we send out. All forms of communication can create connection. And when we're dealing with groups and within base shops and teams, we've got to do stuff en masse to make sure we catch everyone. But for Britta, yourself. The three things were the company, the crusade, and yourself. Lots of lists we're keeping track of here. And then Angie, you got it. Then the last one is in person, face to face. Okay, so When we're thinking about all those different ways that we connect, ultimately what connection is about is that personal relationship where we've gotten to know somebody, we have a personal interest in them and they feel connected to us, right? That's going to be the strongest place that we can lead from. So communication is so important. It happens all over the place in WFG, including what's happening here this morning. But if we're not ever able to get face-to-face, or at least at the very least, I mean, maybe you could come up with a scenario where that would be abjectly impossible. At the very least, where we can have a voice or video conversation, one-on-one, not just in a group, one-on-one, is where we're going to have the greatest impact. Dolly talks about actually practicing our ability to connect. So how do we connect with somebody else? How does that happen? By talking to them. I talked about how I'm connected to Dolly because I hear from him, but how would he get connected to me? He'd have to ask me some questions. He'd have to get to know me. And so he talks about actually practicing our ability to ask personal questions, not invasive, not obnoxious, not putting people on the spot, but actually being able to get to know them and about their lives. And I'm going to give you some of the examples he gave on the podcast. Let me just find them in my notes. So he talks about being curious, actually caring and being connected to someone, asking them questions about their life, and learn to do this, learn to ask basic questions. What would some of them be? Here's some of the examples he gave. Where did they grow up? What was their home like? Their parents, their siblings? Where did they go to school? How was that experience? What do you do for a living now? How did you end up there? How do you find it? What are you looking for? I love that question. I actually stole that as one. I actually jotted it down. It's something I want to like put on in chalk marker on my mirror so I remember that question. Hey, what are you looking for? Now, obviously we're getting personal, right? You wouldn't maybe, hi, my name is Z. Let me ask you a question. What are you looking for? But as something that you could flesh out some more understanding of what makes a person tick. What would you like your life to become? Here's another question straight from Thali. If you had a Harry Potter's wand and all you had to do was wish it and wave it, what would you want? Asking a couple, hey, how did you guys meet? How long after you met before you decided to get married? One of the things I noticed in the examples he gave is he was asking questions about like facts. And then he was asking questions about how they felt about it. It was like facts and feelings. Where did you go to school? How was that for you? Right? What a great way to connect. Really to get to know, the elements that have gone in to the recipe, to the person's pie, if you will. And then how do they feel about it? What was the experience like? What did they take away from it? So learn to ask facts and feelings. Now, here's another, this is not from Thali, but here's another little something I wanted to add in that is in, and it probably again is because ultimately from him, because I first learned it in the original business format system manual. It's a aid in helping us come up with, being able to, on the spot when we're discussing with someone or in conversation, sometimes we get a little bit lost, like, oh, wow, we're on the spot and we're trying to think what kind of questions I could ask or where could I go? This is a little bit of a tool to help us with that. It's called Form. Have you guys heard of that before? Form, F-O-R-M. So it's, then there's different versions of it. I've heard the acronyms done different ways. So I've heard basically it's F stands for finance, or some would say fun. I've heard it as both. O stands for occupation. Oh, sorry. F is family. I'm sorry. I'm really messing you guys up. I have also heard it as fun though, but O is occupation. R is recreation. And then M is money or message. Again, I've heard different versions of this. Take it how you want. Come up with your own acronym if you like. But the idea is having little trigger points. So if I'm standing there chatting with Joven, for example, and I'm genuinely interested, but I'm a little nervous. I'm on the spot. There's a buzz of other people discussing things around me, and I'm like, what kind of areas might I start to inquire about so I can get to know him better? Well, maybe I can ask about his family, right? I can ask him about his occupation, what kind of a job he has, where has he worked in the past? Hey, have you had like a job that you only worked for a month, like a really, really brief time? What was that? What did you do? Recreation. Hey, Joven, unmute yourself for a second. What do you do for fun?
What I do for fun?
Yeah.
This is gonna sound super duper cliche, but I play and write video games.
Well, I don't think that sounds cliche at all. Of all the things I might have guessed, I'm not sure I would have come up with you write video games.
Oh man, yeah. So just a little tidbit. In order to make a video game, you have to download the software. It's free for everyone, literally free for everyone. The biggest video game companies out there are the software to download. There's like four of them out there. It's free, and you only ever have to pay if your game has grossed $1 million. So you can make a game and release it, and your friends can play it for free.
Okay, well, Jovan, you're going to have to send me an information so I can try that out in my recreation time. That sounds cool. Okay, here's the thing. I just saw his face. He's smiling. You know, he kind of interacted before, so I picked him to answer. How much more connected do you think I feel to Jovan? Jovan, have we ever met?
In person?
I don't think
don't
so.
believe so.
I don't think so. Are you based in Edmonton?
I am.
So, and out of Greg's office?
Yes.
Okay. So if I'm in, that's a place that I'm likely to be. That's why I was asking. I show up there from time to time. So if I'm at Greg's office and see Jovan, how connected do you think I'm going to feel to him if I hadn't asked him any question or connected with, or had this conversation at all? Right now, when I see him, I'm like, Joe, am I saying your name right, by the way?
Jovan.
Jovan?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So simple to do. I'm genuinely personally interested in this young man. That's cool. And I look forward to getting to meet you in person and being even more connected. It's so easy to do. By the way, this is addictive. If this is something you haven't been comfortable with and you have felt shy, this is something that becomes so addictive to be able to explore and get to know people. And hey, if it's something that, again, has not been the norm for you, learn and practice asking questions and then pay attention to the answers. And the more you pay attention and you let your curiosity flow, then the more naturally it comes and the more effective you'll be. So we dwelt on that a little bit, but so did Thali, and he's a master connector. And it's, again, not only made his life amazing, but it's paid him very, very, very well. So I hope you take that one to heart. All right, next, number 5. We're coming to the end of the 5 C's. Is competence. Competence. What do you know how to do? Actually, here's a better question. What do you know how to do well? What do you know how to do well enough that you could teach it? Do you think we have to gain that level of competence in our skills at WFG? Of course we do. And here's the beautiful thing. You're in an environment that was built. It literally was built to deliver that for you through group training, through high impact training, through materials you can read and videos you can watch, and repetitions. You taking the basketball and the hoop and shooting from the threes, you know, and I shouldn't give basketball as an example because that's the sport I know the least amount, but the least about, I should say. But the fact that you would actually do the reps, you would put the work in, you have the resources you need here. Not only do you have all of those resources, but you're surrounded by people that want to help you and will help you. You can ask for advice from. You can ask, hey, Curtis, I've heard that you do a fantastic hiring interview. Would you run through that with me? Now, obviously, he's one person with limited time. So, you know, there's only so many of those that he can schedule in personally, but you're surrounded by people that would want to help like that. And by the way, he does that in a class. So if you ever saw him teaching that class, you're going to make sure to show up to it. Take advantage of that. Take responsibility for your level of competence and make sure, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it sure should be growing. It sure should be growing. So again, a little bit of engagement I'm going to ask you. I'd like you to identify 2 or 3 specific skills. Doing the flip chart presentation, or if you use a slideshow on Zoom, however you do your presentation that you personally do, that might be something. Doing a recruitment interview, running software and technology, running an illustration on the IA Evo software, knowing how to log in. Now, these are maybe of minor importance, but I'm just throwing out, brainstorming some ideas. I want you to come up with 2 or 3 specific areas that you want to increase your competence in. Maybe it's like running a simple portfolio on WinFund for your clients. If you're like, if you go to do that and you're like, how do I do this again? That's so easy to improve. I don't mean to belittle if you've had a struggle, but I mean, that's something you can do. I completely believe you can learn how to do that, et cetera, et cetera. All right. I hope you have a couple down. Hey, not only will you become more effective as you increase your competence, as you get the reps and the practice in, the more you do the presentation, you're going to become more effective, but you're also going to enjoy yourself more. You're going to be able to relax more. You're not going to have that existential dread, that feeling like, oh man, I hope you see your clients calling, you're like, oh, I hope they're canceling. Like, you're going to be so excited. And it doesn't, nervous and butterflies, that's normal, that's natural. You'll also, the more reps you do, learn to enjoy some feelings of discomfort, because on the other side is where all the payoffs are, on the other side of that little bits of nerves. And then you relax as you go into the presentation. That's where all the beauty comes. That's where you make an incredible connection, and you uncover something where you solve a problem for a client, or you recruit somebody and you change their life. I mean, it's incredible. Hope you have a lot of fun with it. Another thing that needs to be, this is an interesting balancing act, but to become truly competent, we have to have a bit of an ego. In other words, we have to believe we're worthy of a high standard of competence. Do you guys understand what I mean? Like, for us to put the work in, we have to see ourselves as someone who's worthy to be great, so that we're actually going to follow through and do it. But on the other hand, if we are dealing with an ego, that can be the thing that holds us back the most, because we're not willing to be bad at something until we get good at it, so that we won't do the work, or we won't put ourselves on the spot, or we won't volunteer, or we won't step into the practice session. I've been there. I want to give you a quick example. At one point, I was really, really good at snowboarding. I mean, that's relative. I wasn't going to the Olympics. I was what's called a level 2 instructor. I mean, I'm not, level 1 is you can kind of teach everybody. Level 2, you actually have to be able to have some like skills that you can teach. You have to be able to do a bunch of things. And I'd been able to kind of get really good to the point where I was in the level 2 course. And now you actually have to be able to perform things by riding the opposite way on your board. So when you ride on a snowboard, you ride either left foot first or right foot first, depending, just like, you bat either way, in baseball, for example. And at some point, if you want to continue to progress, you have to be able to execute at least a minimum standard riding the other way. And in my early 20s, I had such levels of insecurity that my ego was not my best friend. And I actually failed my first level 2 instructor's course, because, and I'm going to just come completely clean on exactly what happened. My ego would not allow me, because I had to be good and I had to be better and I had to, I didn't want to embarrass myself. It would not allow me to go through the progressions I needed to learn how to do it the other way. In other words, I was so good, relatively speaking, going one way, that in order for me to back up to beginner again, because I was terrible. I could spin and do, but I couldn't do what I needed to do, execute at that level, going the other way. I hope you guys are following my example. I wanted to give one that was coming from me of how much that held me back, because I wasn't willing to be bad anymore. I was already good. So I wasn't willing to go back to being bad so that I could get good and actually progress. Does that make sense? And I've seen that happen in WFG. Some people who've created success, they're branch managers at a sales organization here in Fort McMurray. They come to WFG, they meet someone like Greg, they see the potential. My goodness, you're making far more money than I am, and you have way less stress and commitment, and you have passive income, and I should really check this out. And then they go back and they're a rookie again, they're a beginner again, they have to learn things anew again, and that ego gets in their way. So don't let competence be an enemy. The principle of competence be an enemy to your progress. Let's approach it both ways. Let's have that center, like, we're worthy, we're worth it, and we can do it. But also, we might have to start at the beginning and learn just like everybody else. Okay, I'll give you one more on competence, because Thali said, and I don't want you to miss this part. By the way, go back and listen to this from him, and you'll love it even more. But he talked about competence in a sport, that there's only two ways to get competent, is from coaching and practicing / playing it. And anyone who thinks they're going to get competent without those things, one or both, ideally both, and here we have them, right? You're going to be put in a situation where you got your hands on the tools and you're going to have mentors and coaches that want to help you. Okay. All 5 of these C's put into practice, put into work, where you are consciously taking responsibility to develop them, add up to the big one. And I already teased this. We already spoiled it. The big one is the 6th C of confidence. Of confidence. When you can walk into a room and you know that you can help somebody, when you can, with nerves and butterflies and all those wonderful things that happen as human beings, you know you can get up on stage and deliver a message. You know that you can build a plan for somebody. You know that you can be a friend, right? You know that you can be counted on. You have confidence is an incredible way to go through life, and it should never be taken for granted. The last C I want to add to this, and I've already kind of said it, but I want to put a fine point on it. This is what struck me, is that all of these are a choice. C is choice. The last C that I'm adding is it's a choice. We get to choose to be confident, not by flipping a switch, the confidence switch, but by choosing to do the work in all of these areas, practice what we preach, put the reps in, show up consistently every day. We can make that choice. And if we can, then we can be a leader. And if we can be a leader, not just at WFG, but like across the board, we can be a leader, then we can control our destiny. We have incredible power in our hands to build our life the way that we want and to bring other people with us, which is an incredible blessing. That's another C, by the way, contribution. Okay. With that, in the last few minutes here, we're going to roll into more specifics on building confidence and ultimately happiness. How can we build confidence, happiness? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas down that I wanted to share. You guys might even come up with some more. But in the last 5 minutes here, let's run through them. How can we actually, tangibly, tactically build confidence? Number 1, these aren't in any particular order. These are just ideas I wanted to share with you this morning. Are habits. Do you have the ones you have because you've always had them and they're just there? At some point they got installed in your life, or did you choose them, the habits that you have? And if not, what kind of habits would you choose? What kind of habits is the person who you ultimately want to be exercise? And which ones of those can you begin to implement? Pick one, start somewhere, set yourself up for a win, start installing habits. Now, by the way, habits are not just about changing your results, because they do. If I have a habit of going for, oh, by the way, I didn't follow my habit of charging my watch. So it was data hits on the charger. I was going to show you it on my wrist. One of the habits that's changed my life is I started closing my Apple rings as a habit, which meant that I had to get a certain amount of exercise every day, stand every day, a certain amount of move in. That habit completely changed my results. But you know what else it changed? It changed me. It changed my confidence. And not just because I'm more confident because I feel I'm in better shape and my clothes fit better. It changed me because I changed and refined and improved my belief that I could follow a habit consistently. The first 30-day streaks of perfect Apple rings changed me, right? And it's not like I've never done that stuff before, but I installed it again. Are you guys with me? So your habits not only change your results, but it changes who you are. And it makes, that there's incredible power in that. All right. Number 2 in building confidence is actually doing the work. When you know that you've earned it, you showed up, you took your snowboard out and you hiked after everybody else left and the lifts were closed, and you hiked up and you did the work. Ed Milet talks about this with his kid, that when he would get him up at 4 or 5, or I don't know, some, the break of evil type time, and they would go out and do the reps at the driving range. Confidence was built because he'd look at his buddies when they showed up 2 hours later, and he'd know, hey, I did some work. I did some work that needed to get done when others weren't doing it. That builds confidence. Number 3, this is going to sound weird, but I am obsessed with this one. I truly am. I talk about it to all of our new recruits and our teammates, is scheduling. Do you know that most people don't run a schedule? They just kind of show up when they're supposed to at certain things when they remember to in their job hours, and then they write things on the fridge and try to remember and miss doctor's appointments. I mean, most people don't run a schedule. I run a schedule like a fiend and still mess things up from time to time. So I don't know how people exist without it. But a schedule gives you confidence. Do you know where you're supposed to be? Are you flying by the seat of the pants? Do you know where you want to be? Did you plan proactively ahead about what should be in your schedule and what should be blocked off? And then do you execute it? That's following through. That's another Confidence builder, keeping promises to yourself. I'm just giving you another one away, but scheduling is so, so important. You know what? Your level of confidence feels so, so different when you're exercising, pre-planning your day the night before, never mind your whole life, but pre-planning your day the night before, and then getting up in the morning and being clear on where you're supposed to be and when. And you're not like, and by the way, those days still happen, even if you do that, but you minimize them greatly and you get to stay in control. And that is incredibly, man, that gives you confidence and calmness. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, associations. Who are you associating with? Are they helping you move closer towards your goals? Are they helping you with your habits, keeping your habits? Or are they kind of undermining and picking at them? Are they nice, friendly, wonderful people, but maybe you should be spending an hour with them and not a week, right? Karen Michaud talks about taking stock of our relationships. Are they like, I could spend forever with them? Are they week people? Are they weekend people? Are they an afternoon? Is it just 10 minutes and that's enough? We have to consciously take responsibility for who we associate with. The next one, keep the promises you make. Ed Mylett talks about this as one of the biggest confidence builders of all. And by the way, to keep promises, you have to make them. And this is tied to scheduling. Where's your butt supposed to be? Make sure you have a plan and then show up. The last two, clarity. Do you know what you want? If you're clear and you're moving in alignment and you know how to move in alignment. Hey, if you got on a plane and you had to fly somewhere, let's say you had the skill to be a pilot, would you have confidence you'd get there if you didn't have a flight plan? If you didn't know where you were going? This is where clarity comes in. Get some clarity. And oh man, if I could beat on this one, I'd take another hour of your time and just go after it. How important it is that you are clear. And the last one, confidence and happiness building is contribution. What can you do for other people? There is truly more happiness in giving than receiving. This does not mean you don't have to put your own mask on first. If the plane's going down, you can't contribute to others if you are passed out in the aisle yourself. So get your oxygen mask on. But then let's make our lives about what we can give and not what we can receive. And the more you strengthen yourselves, I'll tell you what, Rich Solly can give a lot more than I can financially because he just built a lot more than I did. So there's something beautiful in doing the work we need to do so we can create the resources that not only blesses our lives and our families, but we get to bless a ton of other people, not only in showing them what to do, but actually making real contributions and showing them how to do what we did, but actually making real contributions. That's our time. That's 11 o'clock. Thanks for running through that with me. The last that I want to leave you is if you are not registered or subscribed to Rich Solly Straight Line Thinkers, please do yourself a favor and get that done. Love to everybody. Have a great, great Saturday.
Deborah. What is this? Yeah, that's delightful.
Yeah. I think about that Karen. There was a Karen that Mom was trying to help through her having too much money. Because we ended up giving her bunk beds and all kinds of shit, right?
Not having too much money?
Because if she was going to stop dealing in coke or whatever, and I guess after we moved, she was up into the millions of dollars.
What?
Yeah.
Karen?
And then she came crashing back down here. So,
Get on your own supply, that'll
yeah,
help.
you go on a bender or whatever. And you think you have enough money to live the rest of your life. Robin Williams will tell you that's impossible. Cocaine is God's way of telling you make too much money.
Mm-hmm. Is that what he said?
Yeah. You didn't even get the cookie and the lemon bread out of the fridge.
No.
It was $14 for a cheeseburger platter and $16 for 3 pieces of fish. So, let's see what I opted for. Debbie talks about Jenny's store like it isn't even there, eh?
Yeah. Maybe they're
Nothing
not.
go wrong with a hamburger. I mean, what can you do wrong? It just makes itself, doesn't it? She's a pragmatist to brag about, oh, I had some of those rolls, they were awesome. Debbie, I don't know, you grab the dough, you throw it on a pan, and go put it in the oven. There you go.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hey, babe.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Oh, motorcycle's going by. Okay, let's get you in here. So, you want to make a registration link? Let's see if I can.
Are you heading off somewhere? We could do this later, hun.
No, I'm hanging out in the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just we went for lunch, and I was like, it's time. I recorded the meetings this afternoon, both classes, so I'm just gonna watch them later. Yeah.
I liked Z's. There was something that I needed to hear there. What was it? She hit me. You know when you hear it all the time, but it takes that one person to say it that one way, and
Yeah.
oh, I can't remember what it is now. But it had to do with all the 5 C's of Straight Line Thinkers, Rich Tholley. And at the end, she said, this is a choice. So the 5 C's being character, commitment, conviction, connection, and competence. And all of these are a choice, right? Like, how many times do we hear that, you have choice? right?
Yeah, sure. I've been seeing a lot on social media, the choose to be happy one. Happiness is a choice.
Mhm.
That would resonate with Adam's consistency. I really expected that one to be on there, but I did catch her first couple questions, which is, are you listening to Straight Line Thinkers? And if not, why not? um, yeah, listen to the founders, and that's good. Like, oh yeah, there's contests. Like,
Yeah, are you doing the Straight Line Thinkers Team Reach Thali's podcast challenge?
yeah,
Until the end of August 28th, I think.
yeah, and even if I end up cramming, because I already did the first one, so I'm doing the leadership one now. Yeah, I need to get back to that. I started. I might have done like the first five. Um,
Yeah, they're cool because they're range from 10 to like 20 minutes, so it's not too bad. I like doing them when I'm driving.
nice, right?
Yeah. So,
That's good.
okay, so you said you had one?
I do.
Like do you want me to give you screen sharing?
Yes, please. So Trinity helped me make it, and it was
Looking at, where is it?
should be beside the share
Right,
button.
when that's,
Uh-oh.
is that what you would give out at the beginning?
Come on, internet. I have an unstable connection.
No way.
What are you asking?
Oh, yeah, this is what you after the teaching, right? So what you're doing with me is for it.
Yeah,
right?
well before, like, presentation. I put it on a poster as a QR code so you can register. You can text it to people or put it on your Facebook. I plan to put it also in a link. So I'm going to make the Facebook event and then have the poster on the event link, and people can click interested or going, but then they can also register. So that gives me their phone number and email address, and then whether or not they want to go to virtual, in person, or book an appointment. So hopefully we'll get enough stability here. Maybe if I reduce the number of websites I'm using. Can you see my screen?
I can. I like that you're pink.
Thanks. Yeah, all kinds of customization. Well, like Windows 10 or something. Okay, move that bar out of the way. I'm using all the tabs. That's what happens.
Yeah, I know. Chris comes in and takes all the tabs off. I'm like, no, I was using them all. Oh, I like that.
So this came from Canva. Just a little, I got rid of the background, copied and pasted it there. I wonder if I can't send this one to you and let you use it because we have separate events. But we could probably go in and figure out how to make one.
Well, you could, and then I could just, because I know, you don't remember Tony and Lindsay, but Lindsay did that for me, and I was able to change it. But that's okay. I can figure out my own. Because
I was like, can I make a copy? Is there
I'm going to
settings?
go into it's Google Docs, right?
Yeah. So this looks very familiar to all the other trackers we have, right? This would say like activity tracker, business tracker. And then you've got name, phone number, email address. And they have options. Which event are you attending? Virtual? That would be Thursday evening because it's 8 Nova Scotia time. Saturday evening in person. Or book an appointment for a virtual presentation. Because I don't have enough time to be driving around to everybody's houses. Or I haven't allocated. Oh. what happens if we just, and then I just copy pasted this link on the top. Copy. And went over here to QR code generator. Google. Are you still looking at my screen? This is if you want the QR code. So that's my QR code. It's pretty cool. QR code generator. So QR.io. And then I paste the URL. That's what it's called. The URL in there. And ta-da! Generates it. Pretty easy.
Oh.
And then you can right click. Was it from here? I had to hit download. So download. And then it creates a downloaded version. That's where this page came from. And then right click the image, copy image, and take it over to my Canva and put it on my poster. It's a little busy, but bring your family and friends and save your seat today. So let's see how we create a new one. What if I close this? It's weird because when I lose my page, I was like, how do I go back there? I have to go back to my Facebook and find the link again. So what if we went to Google Docs? Google.
Okay, so I'm gonna minimize you because then I can minimize. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't need you. Because then I can go work along with you here.
Okay.
On my own.
Go
So where do you go? So I went into Google Docs, but
Did you get the QR dot?
see, my Docs doesn't come up that way. Are you in Docs or Sheets?
Sheets.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll find out if this is the one because I'm like, now where is mine? Where is it? Docs, Sheets. Okay, top left. You can go over and switch forms. Would this be a form?
Oh, where's top left? Oh, top left.
There. What are they? The 3 lines. They call that the hamburger lines. What if I went into forms? No forms yet. And then I can look use this event registration. Do you see that template? Onto the top left, it shows me all the Google things. There's a little menu. You get Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms.
Oh, on the left once you're in here. Oh yeah, I'm in Forms. Yeah.
And then they have like contact information, RSVP, party invite. So there's some templates at the top.
Yeah.
You can just pick one and then change the data in there. Event registration.
Okay.
To open up event registration. Oh, that's cool. They've got a pretty picture there. That's a good idea to have like the.
There's one that's called Evented.
Yeah, it's got a picture of like a.
Oh, event registration. There we go.
That's nice. It's got the event information on the registration. I like that.
Oh yeah, event address, contact. Nice. And then name, address. This is what.
You can edit this stuff. I think if you want to delete one of the columns, like you want to take the organized description, response, validation. Oh, up at there's dots on the. You want to add something, Dad? There's a picture of a garbage can. If I want to delete that category.
Sometimes the fonts are just really nicely. If you use hi, Laura's dad. Sometimes the font. I taught Laura about templates when she was doing resumes and things. Is people would just use their favorite font, Comic Sans or whatever, and it doesn't look professional. I said, you have this Word, Microsoft Office or something. I said, grab a template and just change where it says their name, put in your name, and she ends up with a really nice resume because somebody's thought out the layout already.
Yeah.
They put in things that you don't think, like the address of the event on the event, or who's playing at the event, the name of the band.
Like these ones I can delete if you what days are you attending? You can delete day 1, day 2, and day 3, and you can click the box that says add an option, and then you can put your event date in there if you're trying to advertise both of them at the same time, or if you want to add a virtual option just for your one date. Like, what were you hoping to do?
I think, I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you think we should do the 2 events on one registration form and then people can pick and choose, or do 2 separate registration forms?
Hi, Chris.
2 separate registration forms.
As I asked you that, I'm also like, they'd probably say keep it simple, because someone, oh, I didn't know if it was August
Yeah, because
or
if people have
September.
to pick and choose, they're going to pick and not come.
I'll just say I'm going to one of them and not show up to either. Humans are a fickle creature.
Right. Okay. So this will be simple. I could do that. And then they put their name, their email. Instead of organization, I think I'm going to put phone number.
Yeah, name, email, phone number, dietary restrictions, or yeah, this is really cool. Like, all the skills that, you know, however our open houses turn out, as amazing as they will be, we're developing these skills in the process that are going to be useful
Right.
for how did you hear about us on social media, through word of mouth. Like, there's all kinds of different things when you want to start tracking your audience and doing this repetitively. This is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. So I'll work on that. And try to get that done. So then, so I should do another poster, is what you're also saying, in regards to like where I go talk to the people. Oh, but wait. Also, the poster that I have, I can put the QR code on.
Yeah.
As well. So I've put that out as being hi, I'm here, and then like tomorrow, I thought I would put it out again. I'm not going to put it out every day, but I'm going to put it out. You know, because I'm going to do other posts and things like that periodically as well, just to keep things in the now. And I'll put the QR code on the poster that I have, and then that way you can print that poster off and then give it to the people that, because I think someone said they put them. Did Stevie say she gave them to people like to hang on their walls at
Yeah, and that's what I did. I found some bulletin boards in places, but it would be better. Like, I met a used bookstore lady, like a librarian, and she taped it to her counter where people check out. And that's kind of cool if you get to talk to the person that works there and they get to meet you and everything. Then if somebody asks them about it, they can go, oh yeah, that's really cool. You know, I'm going, or I met her. She seems really excited. They could kind of help advertise in that way. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today too, is have the poster, but then I forget how to do it. Is to have the poster that you could text to people, would be like an in-person way. Oh, I'm having an event, you should come. Whether you want to get their phone number if you're in person, or like Stevie said, you could just do like your list of name and phone number. But if you, oh, I have the registration link right now, if you want to come, like, just scan here, or you could just send them, I don't know, it's not a click, you could have the clickable link also. Like, I'm going to have the link in my, when I create the event and invite people to it, I can just mass send it. But I did that to 500 people last event, and you know how many showed up, because you were there. So the individual
I think we need to
invite
make them a little more personalized, though.
Yeah.
Right. I think we need to, at this point, I think we need to hit the personal ones, the ones that, like, get your cousins out, get your, you know, that type of stuff out there in regards to, and then have them bring their friends and family and, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Like, more of that personal, intimate type sort of idea. Your friends, the people that you've met that have just become friends now on this trip and stuff like that. I think when we put it out there just to the general public, not everybody, like I don't necessarily look at those when people are putting those out.
Yeah, and people are getting back to me like 2 months after the leap of faith. Well, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I don't check my messenger all the time. Very guilty for that too. I'm not on Facebook a lot. Social media and like little videos, and I like what you said about like just posting other things also. Maybe I will alternate days with. So excited. It's gonna be great.
People still forget that maybe your posts go down on Facebook go to 40% of the people. It's not all of them.
Yeah.
So even though you posted with every intention of hitting these people, you have to tag them or it won't go to those people. There is a very good chance it won't go to those people. And then if you repost, they'll put you in Facebook jail and knock you off for 3 weeks if you repost too many times.
Yeah, thank you for the tag, because what happened to me, I ran into this girl when we went swimming, and she's like, we went to the same high school, I love your posts, they're so inspirational. She's got 3 kids, single mom, same kind of thing, but now she's got a boyfriend that I used to go to high school with. So the next time I went swimming, she was there at the same time. It's not a big place, but her boyfriend was there, and I was like, hey Johnny, how's it going? Then I get home on Facebook yesterday, I just noticed this. He's been tagging me in his keto business on Facebook. So my whole wall is like, if someone goes to my wall, they're going to see all these before and after keto business posts. So I asked him to like, hey man, do you make money with keto? Because this is my business page. Like, you don't have my permission to tag me in your stuff, but that is a form of, if you tag people in, you're invited, come out and check if it's a video or your poster. If you tag your friends, they'll see it on a notification. Then it will go on their wall. So if people go to their wall, they're also going to see your...
You can block people from posting on your wall, but then it blocks everyone from posting. They can just send you messenger, which is fine. That's how I get my gigs these days. I don't get work from telephone. I just get people call me rando on Messenger. You played a wedding a couple of years ago. I don't know you, but...
Word of mouth is the best form of advertising, wouldn't you agree?
But don't let people post on your wall because you don't know what... Like, I wanted to wish you happy birthday on your comments and you wouldn't... So I got to erase... I don't want to see other people going to my page and looking for... people wishing me happy birthday. It was 10 months ago. You know what I mean? Don't let anybody write on your wall. I'm careful what I put on my own wall, right? Just block that. Your wall is your wall. It's not somebody else's poster board.
Stand guard at the gate of your mind. You gotta protect your peace and
your information.
Yeah, this is my business page, yo. But I will try to recruit him. Oh man, I ran into the president of Bank of Montreal, Canada, yesterday. Not yesterday, last week. So it's Scott Bryson.
Isn't he a VP?
VP, sorry, VP. But he used to be like a premier or something in the province.
I remember.
And he was actually walking by, and I was sitting with Rachel, and I heard his like, well, if it had to come out the other side, it would have been a fart. So I was like, I said this Austin Powers thing, pardon me, that was so rude. It was not me, it was my food. And then it went, and I was like, Scott Bryson? I went to school with his cousin, and he's, hey, how are things going? A little exchange, and he's like, my email is scott.bryson@bmo.com. So I will be emailing him.
There's a Royal Bank dude that lives just over there by this. I showed you the nice house, and he's got a Porsche Cayenne and a Mercedes and everything. He's formerly one of the Royal's Business Financial Services.
Okay.
Wood Gundy, or is it CIBC?
Who is that?
He just lives at the house that Chris Feedham built, that beautiful house right at the corner of New Chevery Road, that big castle there. He flies down on Tuesday, and then he's got a meeting on Friday, so he flies back.
Yeah, Scott's here with his daughters, him and his boyfriend, his daughters. They live in Montreal.
Husband.
Yeah. Did I say wife?
No, it's his boyfriend.
Oh, husband, yes.
They've been married for like 20 years.
They live in Montreal, and girls go to French immersion I was like, oh, is this your summer home? He's like, oh, we're back and forth.
He was famous for crossing from the Conservatives to the Liberals
Oh,
back in the day. And it was as soon as Harper became the leader of the Conservative Party, Harper hates gays, so Scott just jumped over to the Liberals. Like, it was a foregone conclusion that
Literally,
Harper would be clearing the house of all the gays.
I wonder what.
So Scott joined the Liberals, and then the Liberals went into power. Conservatives were in power when Scott was with the Conservatives. Then he joins the Liberals, and then the Liberals are in power. So he's always benefited. He's just got horseshoes. He was a valedictorian of his high school.
Good, tell him to go back to the Conservatives.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, he got right out of the game because he's probably fully pensioned. He's been in there so long. And then he can also be the vice president of Bank of Montreal and double dip, you know, still get his $250,000 pension.
Well, what is Marco and then Irene was the branch manager? Are there things that we offer that Bank Montreal doesn't that would be like a referral partnership angle? Maybe he knows of Marco.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I'll ask
He's
him.
super charismatic, like I said, in one of the toughest schools in Canada, and he's the valedictorian and gay. That doesn't happen unless you're a special kind of dude.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him. They know he's gay, and they're real
Well, he always
rednecks
makes
around
you
here.
feel really special, and I think that's like, you know, he kind of approached me as if he recognized me too. So
Yeah.
it kind of occurred to me now that's a political strategy. Is like when you see someone that's like quote unquote famous. Does he remember that I went to school with Alice Bryson, or like
He knows
did he recognize
more about
like?
you than you think he does. Like he always walks up to me because we get him up to sing his Johnny Cash songs or whatever. So it's like we're old friends when he talks to me, and it's just my politician, but I'm not gonna
But people remember less about what you say and more about how you make them feel.
Yeah.
So he's always like going around the world making people feel special. Oh, this is exhilarating.
Anyway.
And that was the Jay Shetty quote this morning video on TikTok, to always leave the park cleaner than you went to it. He's like, anyway, I'm just going to say something and go. Okay, cool. Well, I'm happy. I'm able to pass on the event registration link information. I should, I bet Braden knows how to do that.
What do you mean?
Well, he's pretty techy, but he's got his open house happening. So I wonder if he knows about registration links or wants to know. Then I could help him. I like helping people. But him and Fatima are pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. But yeah. I was just playing on here. Did you know that you could click on here? I just clicked on anywhere and it says create QR code for this page.
Oh, there's a link right on the sheets?
You right click a page.
Oh.
Right click the page and you'll see it says create QR code for this page.
Oh, sweet.
Somebody said
Oh yeah, well there you go. You just removed a step. Thank you very much.
you put your Wi-Fi router password. Maybe you snap a picture of it, and then you make a QR code and you put it on your fridge. So when somebody comes to your house, they want on your Wi-Fi, they just have to go up to the fridge and hit the code.
Yeah. That's a good idea too.
We're so hip and happening. Get 2-for-1 movie tickets? Are you kidding me? Why is this delivery system?
How do you change the picture on it though? I forget.
Picture on what? On your event?
Like this picture.
The background picture?
The big picture at the top.
That looked like.
I think I had just deleted the one that was there, or like if you upload copy, print, add, share, web capture. No, there's an option there.
Father and a son, so that's one of the things I'd like to find out. My grandmother was an amputee.
Chris.
He's good. I can't stop personally developing. Share, web capture, view, translate to English. Why is there no delete button? What did I do? Section 1 of 2. I did something.
Background image. Weird.
I know it can be done.
Oh,
In your page format.
I went to a different one. Okay, got it. Does it have an option for delete? Customize theme. Header. Header image uploaded. Okay, so if you go to the top, there's a little paint palette beside an eyeball on the top towards the left, and it says customize theme, and the header says image uploaded.
The header says image uploaded.
Yeah.
It's an eyeball or something you said.
Oh yeah.
And then I delete the headed, the image, and then choose a different image.
There we go. Okay.
Bikers.
That's a lot of bikers. Whoa.
Oh, these are the angels.
Yeah.
You see they got their colors on?
What are they? Are they in town for a reason?
There must be 100 of them.
They're still coming. That's a lot of motorcycles. They're still coming. Oh, that's the end of them. That guy one arm driving, he's cool. That was probably like 100 motorcycles.
They don't
That was
usually,
crazy.
I don't even know if they're allowed to wear their colors, like their logos on their jackets and stuff.
Yeesh. Okay, I was on a different sheet. What am I gonna do? No.
Interesting. Cool. Well, why don't I let you go? Because you've given me a lot of the fuel that I need. And I appreciate you. And oh, look at you. What are you doing?
Who, me? Talking to a cat.
Oh, you're creating an event on your Facebook too?
Oh yeah, I'm still sharing screen. Yeah, I have to create the event. We're talking about all this stuff, but you've given me the fuel that I need too.
Cool. Good, good,
Your
good.
firelight sets me on fire. Let your light shine. Okay, well, good luck. We got days to do things, lots of people to contact.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
And do you have any business in the pipeline, or are you working on anything like that at the moment?
No, I did have an in-person appointment with someone this week, and we're going to do an info gather. He's going through a separation, so I'm not sure what will happen there, but he's interested in debt reduction. So when we get back together after the info gather, we'll have something to look into.
Yeah, because don't forget about Valkyrie. I don't know if you've used them yet.
Are they in Nova Scotia?
They are anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, they said that they could do business anywhere. When we were working with Chris, like they're based out of Ontario, I think. But we were helping people in Alberta. We also helped people here in Ontario, and we're going through them to buy our truck too.
Okay.
So they do that as well. But yeah, what they do is, what their slogan is that in order to really truly help people in consolidation pieces, to look at the mortgage piece, right? Mortgage always goes first. So if they have equity in the home, then try and see if they can get that through Marco and see what he can do with his magic in regards to putting some debt into the mortgage. And if that's not an option, then go through the car route. So if they have a car that, even if they still have payments on it, there's still an opportunity that, similar to a mortgage where you have a portion of the mortgage still left owing, but you have equity in the mortgage. It's the same as a vehicle. So depending on the age and what it's worth and how much you can sell it for, the market value, depending on how much you still have owing, or maybe you don't have anything owing, you can get a loan onto the vehicle. It'd be just like having another vehicle loan. But then you get it at a lesser interest rate, of course, compared to like credit cards and lines of credits and that are in the 12 to 20%.
Yeah, is that why they start with the mortgage? Like, it's more likely that the mortgage would have the lowest interest rate? You want to use
that and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times people have equity in their home that they didn't even know about. So Marco can really pull some magic there. And then if that's not the option, then we do the same thing, but with the vehicle. And then if we can't do the vehicle, then we go to our other routes that we already have.
So Valkyrie works with Marco. Would that be like a referral under you?
He doesn't work with Marco.
We work with Marco? Okay.
No, he works, they're separate. They have their own thing. And he does have a referral page that we can send to you. You don't get points and because they're not hugely affiliated with WFG yet. They're working on that. But they do still have compensation. It's just that they do it as a referral compensation. So it's still worth it for the client in the end.
Yeah, it's still
because a lot of times you can when you get. Because some of our clients have been talking about that to their friends and families, and then we're sitting down with them into similar situations, and then of course they see other things that we can do, and we've been able to help them out there too. So
here's a funny, I don't know, strange thing. So it's a small world here in Nova Scotia, and I've randomly run into a woman who's involved in the community, her brother, and then his ex-wife, in 3 different scenarios of things. So when I met the brother, who is the ex-husband, I almost mentioned that I met his wife at a separate location, and then I kind of stopped that thought before, because maybe a confidentiality, if I want him to be able to trust me. So can I just I think it would be ethical to be able to help both parties. But the likelihood of one of them telling the other one who their advisor is or something, in a perfect world in my heart, one person can help all people. Wouldn't it be cool if you had a financial marriage counselor that can help you both deal with the separation of assets and management of extra expenses? Because when you separate, now you're both paying rent, and you're both paying utilities, and you're both paying
cars,
car payments and things. So if you had someone that you trust, that you can talk to, a mediator. Not that I don't want to get in the middle of things, but I was want to be able to help both people. Because I'm helping the ex-husband doesn't mean that I can't approach the wife. What decisions people make is not in my control.
Well, and it's up to them who they tell as their advisor. It has nothing to do with you. It's just like if they were to walk into a bank.
Yeah, right.
They at separate times, but they still have the same bank and they still do the same stuff and whatnot. So
yeah, it's not personal. It's professional, right?
Oh, speaking about separation, Justin Trudeau.
Oh, right.
You didn't know this?
What? He's getting separated?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did.
Chris did.
It's not like I have my ear to the ground. It's been a couple of weeks, but Laura didn't know.
His wife's found him a loser too.
No judgment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Last judgment.
I don't know. I fell down some rabbit holes during COVID and heard he's involved in some things that make me sick to my stomach. So I don't know what to believe. I try not to listen to the media. That was really cool. It's talking to my middle nephew. I know you're trying to go, but Isaac is like 20 something. He was telling me about his intuitiveness in like reading people's characters and energies and what have you. But I think because of the upbringing that he had with my sister and like an addictive relationship, he developed similar skills to Ed Milet. Like as he was describing to me, and I was like, oh, like he can detect rage as like a self-defense mechanism to when somebody's about to blow up, or if they have rage tendencies, he can usually tell that like off the bat. Not that you can, but yeah, I've been working on him. I'm like, why are you working at
Did you
McDonald's?
send him Ed Milet stuff?
That's a good idea. Come on, listen to this and tell me what you think. It's awesome. Tell you, yeah.
I haven't listened to some of your Ed Milet stuff, and
That's a great idea. Thank you, Dad.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, it was really good.
He was home preschooled by me.
Yeah. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Just to get a fire under his butt.
that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, thank you so
He
much.
just needs direction. He doesn't need a fire. He just needs a direction.
Yeah. Something to run towards. Come with me. Oh, that's fun. Talking to all of my nephews, like, what? 2 of them are in their 20s. I'm like, you know, life's a lot easier when you have your own wheels. When you can go to and fro, and like, what it would cost to save up for a flight to come see me. $200 ticket's only $20 a month. Or like my one nephew likes to, they DoorDash here. And DoorDash
Eats, Skip the
and
Dishes.
Value Village and video games. I'm like, dude,
What's DoorDash?
it's like skipping the dishes.
Uber Eats.
Yeah, I was like,
Even
why are you
child.
skipping the dishes? You know how much you can save if you just like... And he's like, what do you mean? What does my dishes have to do with my budget? I was like, oh, yeah, they call it DoorDash. But yeah, all the fast food restaurants. Cook at home. Save your money. Like, look at some long-term. Maybe like the investment calculator. That was pretty powerful what Adam said about the 30% this morning. So like, even if I was doing 30% would be way better than my activity. I'm not super impressed with myself as a professional manager. Anyway, manner is what I meant to say. But I'm doing it now. It's the week of winning. I'm going to fill up my calendar for when I go home and have consistent Wi-Fi. I can't wait. There's no place like home, Dorothy. Click your heels.
Right, exactly.
When we worked at West Edmonton Mall, I played at the Pacific Fish Company for 6 years, I think. We were in the house band there. And we lived in Calgary, so we had to take a place, like a townhouse in Misericordia there beside the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd walk back and forth every day, but we were sharing rent with some of the staff there. They were getting DUIs just driving like 2 blocks from the mall to the Max Milk. And then they're sous chef all day. They're making alligator soup and all these wonderful steak and lobster, mesquite broiler. It's a fantastic 4-star seafood restaurant. And then on the way home, the guys would buy a thing of Easy Mac. And they'd eat mac and cheese. You're cooking this wonderful food and you haven't figured it out yet. You know what I mean? Can I get a discount and take home some whatever,
Yeah.
you know? Buy a thing of Easy Mac at the Max Milk. Gross.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Well, it's the same. Isaac's a good employee. He makes, I don't know, it's $15 minimum wage down here. And he doesn't want to do the McDonald's work 80 hours a week, but we'll only pay you 44 hours a week because we don't pay overtime. You can bank the 36 hours. He doesn't do that. He says, I want my 4 shifts of 8 hours. He only works a 32-hour week, but then he's eating like a king. You know what I mean? Oh, we've had Indian food from there before. Oh, we like sushi and spring rolls and all this stuff. Wow. Living large for a McDonald's employee, right? No wonder they can't afford a car.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Coolio girl, well, let me know how I can keep
support you.
keep your fire lit, and
Come on, baby.
you have
Oh, that was
Come
it.
on, baby, light my fire.
Does she know the travel?
your virtual was when again? Thursday?
That's just like the expansion campaign, right?
Oh,
like
that's just the
because
expansion.
it's 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I guess because I haven't put the registration link on, I could just have the virtual component be the same day. At the event, but if I'm using my laptop to HDMI like the TV for the presentation, I would need a separate device to have a virtual.
You might need somebody to help you. Do you have somebody that could sit down with you and help you?
No, I'm asking Crystal.
All right.
I've got a
But I don't know
Chromebook.
if she hasn't
Need
answered
another
yet.
device.
Yeah, maybe a Chromebook would work.
They're so fast
I
and
just
friendly.
think adding too many things maybe when it's just me there to run it.
Yeah.
Or like
Stuck up
sound
And it's
guy or
Saturday at
something.
what time? The 19th?
Yeah, 6 to 9, Saturday the 19th. And I plan to have
Your time?
yes, an hour of music and
Oh, to
then
be-
presentation and then another hour of music, which is a lot. But Amber talked about the Mozone. So getting people in there and chatting. I'm going to go do like the donations and things. Just like see what I can drum up for. Ow, did you bite your lip?
Yeah.
It happens. That's a
knocked
big
my-
mug too. Oh,
Yeah, I knocked it with the cup against. Yeah. Anyways, here I am.
yoga and my. That's cute. Yeah, to have snacks and band first and like loosen everybody up and like give me a chance to mingle and maybe see how people were affected by the floods or like, did you grow up here? And then I already started like rehearsing my speech for, like last night I was trying to fall asleep is I've been at that community center, like my dad's played there for like a lot
Went
of
to
Christmases. They had
Carnival
Christmas Angels. My first leadership meeting was in there when I was in high school. So just relating to, we used to go to Smiley's Park, like all the places that have been affected by
Smiley's is washed out.
by
It may
the
never be a-
floods here. And then there's a construction company in the province. So to think just like a little bit of name dropping of like, Dexter's is going to get paid a lot of money. The government's probably going to pay the construction company to come in and fix the road. And what is that going to do to Nova Scotians? I don't exactly know how the whole country works, but will their taxes go up because there's millions of dollars of road damage? Or does that like federally funded?
Joint.
Like you're saying there's a federal emergency budget that it pays out of.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine so because it's an act of God. It's not something that was done by Nova
Yeah.
Scotia.
They do have a fund for the uninsured. Like we
Yeah.
weren't affected on our house insurance. We don't have. We didn't have any damage from any of these catastrophes lately. But they
That's
do. It makes you wonder. Why would I insure if I could just go to the government when something
A lot of
happens?
people had insurance, but it didn't cover act of God
okay.
or groundwater. So there are some things that like even
That's
and
right.
then there's
Well, and that might be due to where you guys are too, though.
yeah.
Because I know there was one place we were going to get insurance and we couldn't because of where we were. It was
Floodplain.
They said it's like we filled in a swamp and built a town. Like basically
Yeah.
that's why it's flooded.
And that's what we were. We were in that as well. So we couldn't get water damage type sort of idea anymore. And yeah, so it depends on, I think, where you are and what type of insurances you can get.
True. Yeah.
We're thankful we have car insurance. I know that's different than what we're talking about because they're paying us out exactly what our truck would be worth today.
Oh,
Nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we can go and buy a brand new 2023 if we wanted to. We're not going to, but if we wanted to. And yeah, so that's, I don't know, sometimes it's a here and there. When our house flooded in Warrenville, both times our insurance covered it, but yes, it did go up a little bit for a duration, right? So
Well, and
Yeah.
the guy from the Team Rubicon that go in, they disaster relief. They said usually people stop paying for their insurance after they pay off their home, too. Like whether or not they have mortgage insurance, but they'll be
Yikes.
like, "Oh, our house is paid off. We don't need insurance anymore." And that's when they do
It's not
because.
6-month because it just range. Sounds good.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I hear ya.
But I'll let you go do your thing, and we'll go do our things, and put all the posters out. I gotta make a video. So excited!
Well, it must be my job for me.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, totally, hun. I know. I feel like I've got tons I want to do too. So, yeah, call out, reach out if you need anything, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Saw a picture of Chris doing appointments last Saturday, I think, but your dream board was in the background. So I was like, power to you guys. Debt-free plan and got all the goals, and it's really pretty and organized. Love your mottos.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
change these. We have more to do. Some of them have been completed, and we have some we have to change. So yeah.
Yeah, keep updating. Want more, get more. Have a
And
good
we've booked our England flights, so we're all set and ready to go. And so,
That's awesome.
God save the king.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I know it seems weird saying king now, but yeah, looking forward to my cousin's wedding. It'll be good to see all the family all in one place again. So
I'm so happy for you.
I saw something on the news one night. They're talking to this, the dude with the wig and the white wig and the cloak and everything. And said, so-and-so Wagner KC. I said, what does that mean? There used to be Queen's Counsel, which would mean he's a prosecuting attorney